counties have declared disasters as Hurricane Hanna steers into the state of Texas. The storm made landfall south of Corpus Christi on Saturday as a Category 1 hurricane. Winds of up to 145 kilometers per hour have peeled roofs off homes and sent shingles flying in the air. More than 2 months worth of rain has fallen in less than 24 hours. Hanna is the first hurricane of the 2020 Atlantic storm season. Let's get right to Darren Lynn, who joins us now live from Houston, Texas for more. Darren, as we mentioned, the storm has made landfall there. What's the situation like on the ground?
Right now, the biggest concern is not just the winds at 85 miles an hour, sustained winds from a Category 1 hurricane in Hanna, but it's the rains, the heavy rains, 6 to 12 inches of rain expected throughout the next 24 to 36 hours, causing flash flooding in the area, and again, the wind damage to the structures, to the homes there, to making landfall in Padre Island, which is near Corpus Christi. The storm surge is expected to go in 300 miles inland around Corpus Christi, Brownsville, which is near the Mexican border, and into Mexico. The worry now is not just the storm surge and the rain, but the flooding and the possibility of tornadoes spurned by the hurricane and wind gusts up to 80 miles per hour for the foreseeable couple hours, at least into the morning and early afternoon of Sunday.
How are people bracing for the storm, and have any predictions been made as to how much damage might be caused by the storm?
In terms of preparing for the storm, unfortunately, this region of Texas is used to hurricanes and the hurricane season, with anywhere between 13 and 19 predicted storms during this hurricane season. Sheltering in place is always the major thing for people to do, as well as going to a nearby convention center or a shelter in which people who don't have a home that can have a safe place to stay. But right now, the mayor of Brownsville, Texas, which is on the Mexican border, has already announced that there's been significant structural damage in that city. And mind you, this is just a Category 1 hurricane with 85 mile per hour winds. The concern now is, as I mentioned, more flooding in the area, flash flooding, and the possibility of tornadoes, which come with a hurricane once landfall is made.
Darren, you mentioned the shelters there, and Texas is one of the hotspots of the coronavirus, as we know, in the U.S. right now. And this hurricane has already caused damage to homes, as we mentioned, and this means that people are going to need to evacuate and at some point probably gather together in specific areas. Have authorities taken any measures to make sure people will be able to social distance?
This situation is new to emergency responders, as you can well imagine, with the COVID-19 pandemic. Governor Greg Abbott of Texas says he is concerned about the storm recovery in the midst of the pandemic. He's reminding people to take precautions against spreading the virus, saying, quote, "We cannot allow this hurricane to lead to a more catastrophic, deadly event by stoking additional COVID-19 that could lead to fatalities." So yes, the sheltering and evacuating residents now is going to be a key for emergency responders, because they have to maintain the proper social distancing while taking care of those who may be injured or don't have a place to stay and now need to stay in one area together. So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge from here on out once we get into the recovery phase, starting as dayfall begins tomorrow.
All right, Darren Lynn, thank you so much for bringing us up to date with the latest on Hurricane Hanna in Houston, Texas. Security forces